Wow, got one viewer in already. I wonder when I actually set this up, does it show that I'm going live before I do? Maybe it does. I hope this is a good time for everybody. Just going to have a little chat. There's a boat coming off a... What's happening over there, Michelle? Is that a boat coming off a dry dock?
Yeah, well, they were painting it earlier.
Hi, is that Kelly? I can't see, it's a little bit bright. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Look, there's a boat over there.
I think it's going to drop it into the... You can have a look. It's going to drop it in by the looks of it.
There's Michelle. There's a boat just about to... Hey Byron, we're good. We're just about to witness a boat launch. Well, of course, I'm here for the boat launch. I named this boat Steve's Kitchen, and bless those that sail in it. I probably would have been nicer if I'd been here for this boat launch. It's been a long time. I'm hoping we've got nice internet, good connections. Wouldn't that be nice? Time to catch up and just say hello to everybody and find out what you've all been up to. You can see just behind me over here. What do I love about cheesecake, Byron? I love cheesecake. Do you know I've always liked the non-baked cheesecake particularly. I know that can be controversial for a lot of people, but when I was younger, my mother always used to make a lovely lemon cheesecake. So a German style cheesecake, which is actually with the biscuit base and the lemon, and I've got that recipe on my channel. Oh, crystal clear, beautiful. Oh, I'm at for the first time, and we're here for the inaugural launch today. You're joining me on the harbour for the inaugural launch of, what's it called? The first sailing. Cindy, I'll tell you where we are in a minute, because it's what I kind of wanted to chat to you all about. Look at this beautiful, some of you might recognise. It's got my sunnies on. Oh, can I read and sunnies? No, I don't think I can. Look at that view. Let me just see if I can thank you. Do you know what? I don't know if I can adjust the brightness on my screen, but I can't read people's names. Oh, it's Annette. Hi, Cindy. So look, I just turned that round. Michelle's doing a good job. She's getting some pictures. There's the boat going in. Let me just see if I can zoom in a little bit. Ooh. So how are you all? Let's have that little boat going in. Would be great fishing just off the pier. Hello, Mexico. Oh, we want to go back, so want to go back to Mexico. And we will. We actually will. Anyway, there's a boat dropping in. So is the sound good as well? Crystal clear. And the sound. We have travelled, I think, close to 20,000 kilometres. And, you know, it's one thing I can tell you about travelling around Australia is it's really hard to do and to be able to keep in touch with people, because the internet connections have just been shocking. We film so much stuff, and we've just rarely found places where we can actually upload anything. So we stopped for a little while. Had a little stop, not a little stop, we're going to stop for at least a few weeks and try and catch up and put some content up for you people, because Outback Australia, as majestic and beautiful as it is, it's really, really hard to do any content. I don't know how people do it, to be honest. I don't know how a lot of these youngsters do it. Michelle, I'm going to walk up the pier because it's a little noisy. That
Okay.
come with, or you don't leave your handbag. She's going to leave her handbag there, and if I walk up the pier, she'll lose it. She'll be looking around. Look at this beautiful ship. Beautiful big ship. Dreadful waste of money. Dreadful waste of money. No, I'm saying that quiet. I quite strongly believe we waste way too much money on weapons. Should be spending it on education. But it is a beautiful piece of craftsmanship. It is lovely and warm, and it's just turned spring. It's just turned spring. So okay, so this is Castlemaine, the J224 Castlemaine. HMAS Castlemaine is a minesweeper built for the Commonwealth of Australia by the Melbourne Harbour Trust Commission and Williamstown Dockyard in Victoria, which will give you an idea where I am at the moment. We have stopped to just catch up, try and get a lot of the dust and cobwebs out of the car, and rethink about what we're doing, because if we just carry on, Kelly, by the way, it was super fun doing your Millionaires slice the other week, and I'm glad you liked it. But if we carry on traveling, we're never going to be able to put any content up, because we can't get internet connections, and we're running out of space on our hard drives for what we filmed. It's a beautiful day. It's very early in the spring for us here in Australia, and the weather here in Melbourne, which is where I am at the moment. We come off the road to try and crank the laptop up and get some work done. Oh, nice. Well, they're going to have a lovely time, Jan, because the weather here over Christmas time is gorgeous. Mind you, if you go up north, it's super hot. So to advise them to come to Melbourne. It's a great city to visit in the winter time. So is Adelaide. And once you get a little bit north through the summertime, it gets really, really hot. So Michelle is down the end of the pier. You can see her. Let me just zoom in there. There she is, doing a little bit of filming. So it's getting autumn, Byron, in Wisconsin, is it? Of course it is. You're the flip side to us, so I always forget that you chaps are going into your winter when we're coming into the best of our weather. And we filmed a lot of stuff from our trip around Australia. We've got some fantastic plans for next year, by the way. But we're going to have to try and bite off smaller portions, because so far what we've been doing with these big long trips is putting ourselves in a position where we're not able to actually edit and upload the stuff. I mean, you can imagine in a tent in the middle of the outback for thousands of kilometers away from anywhere, it's been really difficult to actually keep up with the workload. So I apologize for that. This week I'm going to work hard to get some editing done. We've got to do some planning for our next trips, which are going to be happening. We're going to Tasmania in the beginning of 2019, which we're really looking forward to. We got a whole bunch of things planned in Tasmania. We got some hiking in the mountains. We got the food producers to see, but this time I'm going to try and do it in smaller bites so I can keep up with the workload, because taking 2 or 3 months traveling in outback Australia has been great for Michelle and I, but it hasn't been great for you guys, because I'm not able to. You've seen I've done a few live. I've tried to go live in places, and the quality of the internet. We have, I don't know, about 23 million, I think it is, maybe somebody will correct me, people in Australia, and we're a landmass equal to the US of A, and you can imagine there's a lot of nothing out there, so it's not covered very well by the internet. Oh, the boat's going off. So I don't think it's its inaugural sale. Do you think it's a new one, Michelle? May well be. Oh, you're not seeing it now. You're seeing me squint in the sun. It's called The Office. So there's a Ricky Gervais reference, perhaps. So yes, it's a big country with a very poor internet connectivity, or mobile phone connectivity. So it's all right if you're traveling, you just want to put the odd photograph up, but putting up videos has just been nigh and impossible. Whoops, something is asking me for what actions I want to do. Garth, you get yourself in trouble just going on to chats, and I'm not gonna to delete it or anything, buddy, but you get yourself into trouble just going on to chats. But YouTube picked that up as spamming, and one thing I find, you'll see a lot of people that never actually watch your content coming in and writing in your comments, please watch my videos, and what happens is they get flagged. Most YouTube creators will actually flag that as spam, and if you get, you know, several spam infringements, you'll eventually have your channel restricted or closed down, because if YouTube see a pattern of you going and commenting on channels, and those channels take offense and say, oh no, this is not someone who watches me, this is just somebody spamming, then what'll happen is you'll end up with your own channel sort of starting. Now, if you want people to watch you on your own channel vlogging, you know, just comment and share your information across on Facebook, and just comment on videos. People will find you naturally. You need a natural organic growth as well. It's important that people find you because they're looking for your content, and not just because you ask them. And this is what I've always found with our channel. If you go and ask 1 million people to subscribe to you, and out of that 1 million only 2 of them really are interested in what you're watching, you're going to have sort of issues, and that's always happening on YouTube. So just be a little careful. Anyway, good luck. Got a mucky screen, Michelle. We've got a mucky everything. The car was mucky, our clothing, our bodies were getting grimier. What do we want to talk about, sweetheart?
Talk about what we're going to be doing and where we've been. And
yeah, we came down. I mean, a lot of you know that we left Perth a couple of months or so back, and we've driven all the way around Australia, and then we came down through the centre, through Alice Springs and Coober Pedy, which was fascinating. It was getting really hot up there, 38 degrees Celsius, which I think is well into the hundreds in Fahrenheit. So it's getting pretty hot. So it's nice to get back down into the cooler weather, and we're just going to have a little catch up. I've learned so much about your channel when you appeared on another channel on YouTube. Yeah, and that always helps, Jan. If you kind of do cross-pollination, cross sort of promoting with people that you enjoy, and it is important that you do stuff with people that you have something in common with, because otherwise the audience that you their audience won't enjoy what you're doing if you're doing something. Let's walk over to the bandstand over here, change of scenery.
Can I come?
Yeah, because the bandstand's about an hour's walk away, Michelle. Should you come? You can stay here if you like, but all I've got is that guy reversing, beat, beat, beat.
I think they're moving the other boat up as well now to get more.
So Michelle's here.
Hello.
So I'm finding it tricky to read, Michelle, because I'm borrowing Michelle's screen. My screen is not so good. but the shell skene's mucky. I can't, where the text and writing is coming up, it's very scratched and matte. We're going to be looking at getting a new phone as well. I haven't had a new phone for about 4 or 5 years now. And any recommendations, throw them in the comments, what I should be looking at. I haven't been in the phone market for a long time. I want something that's going to give me at least another 4 or 5 years use out of it. I'm going to go up to the bandstand up here because I might get a bit of shade and I can probably see what you're saying, because I can see comments coming up, but you can see how sunny it is. So a phone that performs well in sunlight would be good. I'm going to read these comments in a moment, so keep popping them up there. When we get into a little bit of shade, I can get some shade on the screen, I'll be able to see what you're saying. Because at the moment, it's just a big glare of light. So we are going to head to Tasmania after Christmas. We've got some plans to do some hiking over there and see some different producers. We've been talking with the Tourism Tasmania about organising some nice events over there. I've got a buddy I met who's got works on a little radio station, so we might have a chat with him when we're over there as well. Get some publicity going.
Because we're going to Tasmania in the summer.
It'll be summer. Oh look, shade, I can read. Yeah, the Google Pixel 3 is coming out. Look, Cynthia, I know the iPhones. I've never really got on with iPhones. I really prefer Androids. You see this parrot up here? See if we can come and see this fella. Oh look. What are you up to? What are you up to? Hello. What you found? What you found? So yes, I always forget there's two camps. I've always been an Android user. I never really, although I do use a MacBook at the moment. Hi Annette. I really like the Note series as well. I'm thinking of getting the Note series. Now here in Australia, if there's any Aussies in the house, you'll know what I mean by this. Whenever a phone gets launched and they say, oh, it's going to be $1,000, by the time it comes to Australia, it ends up being $1,500. I don't know why. We certainly don't get as good a deals as you guys do in the US and Europe, or Asia for that matter. Love Michigan, by the way, Annette. We always go and visit friends when we come to the US, and we visited a friend of mine in Holland, Michigan, year before last, was it, or maybe even 3 years ago now?
Yeah, year before.
And oh, what a beautiful part of the world, particularly in the winter time. Hey Kansas, hey June. Oh, at least I can see the comments here. Now we're up on the bandstand. How nice. Nowhere to sit up here though. I suppose here is where I should get my instruments out. Yeah, the Note 9 is something that's appealing to me at the moment. But I'm thinking of doing a little video about buying in Australia, because we actually have, we either pay, I mean, for example, I don't know how much the Note 9 costs in the US or in Europe in Australian terms, but the top of the range Note 9 here is $1,890. And you can buy a really nice laptop for that sort of money. Now I think if I bought that in Asia, which is our nearest sort of landmass to us, I think we'd probably pay about $1,200, $1,300. So you can imagine, I mean, you can get the Note 9s here in Australia for about $1,500, but it's a really base model from what I've seen. It's like the lowest megabytes, it's the poorest processor. That's all right, Jean. Oh, I mean, look at the. Did you see the parrots just now? You'd have to go back a bit if you want to see them. Yeah. So here, the note is probably around about. Well, the top of the range model is probably almost $1,500. Anyway, it's nearly $1,900 Australian, which is, you know, getting close to $2,000. That's laptop prices, don't you think? Oh, that's fine, Amber. I just showed how to make the sticky rice. And even if we, so we have to bear in whenever I buy a phone here in Australia, anyway, it always costs a lot more. So I tend to only buy them every 3 or 4 years or so because they are expensive. But the old Note that I've got, which is the Note 4, believe it or not, which has been a fantastic phone. I mean, that's lasted and lasted and lasted, but it really is coming to the end of. Yeah, the parrots, this tree up here, it's got all those beautiful parrots, the red and, I don't know which species of parrot that is. I'm not sure. We get a lot of parrots in Australia. It's our sort of main bird that you see sort of flying around. It's always quite nice. I don't know if anyone else around the world has parrots as a sort of like a regular bird, but we have a lot of parrots in just, you know, almost like our sparrows here. Yeah. I look like a spy. Not sure why I look like a spy. I'm going to go and I'm on the bandstand. To be honest, there's nowhere to sit. I'm going to go and sit down here on this bench, chat with you all. I'm dragging Michelle around. If I sit in here, I might get a little bit of shade. No, I'm really bad with upgrading phones. I don't like, I think I've only bought 2 smartphones since they started becoming smartphones. Cars and phones, they're all just, they don't hold that much of an interest to me as long as they function. But the poor old Note 4 is starting to get to the end of its life now. You know what happens is they keep updating stuff and eventually stuff gets out of date. So I think we're up to the Note 9 now. I'm thinking of getting that. I'll probably make a video about it. We're also looking to get some new bags and things. We've traveled now for 4 years with those bags, and we need to the Note 4 is gangster anyway, go get a new one. I tell you what, you're watching me on a Note 4 now. I'll bet you the picture isn't much difference if I go for an iPhone X or a Note 9. It really, you know, the problem I have when I go into the stores, and you guys may see this as well, I bet actually all of you see this. You go in and they say, it's the new Note, or it's a new iPhone 5 million. And you go in, you pick it up, and it looks like every other phone you picked up, and you go and you turn it on expecting to suddenly be sort of electrified with excitement, and up comes a glass screen with a couple of buttons on it that slide left and right, and you can open an email and read a website, and you think, so what? I mean, you can't having a faster phone, you can't watch something quicker. So yeah, I know, I understand that the Note 4 is a little bit old, but I tell you what, when I go and pick up, and I saw just the other day the Note 9 and the iPhone X, whatever it is, and you pick it up and touch the glass, there's nothing. It doesn't like sort of tickle your fingers and make you a cup of tea or anything. It just turns on, has a few icons on it, and no matter what the salesman tells you about how super slick it is, and all they ever do is like run their finger left and right saying, oh, look how quick it is. And you think, well, I pick up my 4-year-old, 5-year-old Note 4 and go left and right, and it's just as quick. Yeah. So I'm a bit of I'm probably I'm an Android sort of PC person, though I've been using a MacBook almost exclusively for this travel. But I'd slip back to a PC easily. I'm not overly impressed by the MacBook experience. But there are things on the MacBook that I've left Michelle over there sat on the park bench, because I can see you if I come over here under this tree. So yeah, there are things on the MacBook that I think I would miss, but it's a bit like everything else, isn't it? When people say to you, oh, you go and get the new MacBook, I've been in to have a look at the new MacBooks as well, and they're 3, 4, 5 generations on, they don't do anything different. I haven't considered a no-bake orange creme cheesecake, but it sounds lovely, Byron. Yeah, I'm thinking I've probably got to upgrade now, Kelly. So I'm thinking maybe the Note 9. But you know, the other thing is, whenever you go to upgrade, people will always tell you how there's a new phone coming out in a day or two or a week or two. So apparently the Galaxy S10's coming out, and that one's got a coffee percolator and some sort of like a hoverboard connection. So, you know, I shouldn't get the Note 9. I should wait for the Galaxy Note 10 apparently. Not Note 10, but the Galaxy 10. What kangaroo attack? Kangaroos are always attacking. You know, they can be very aggressive if you're silly and you disrespect a kangaroo. You're going to get hurt. You've got to treat them with respect. They're a wild animal. Yeah, I don't think you're going to find many used Note 9s, although I'll be doing some investigation in that shortly. I'll make a video about it if anyone wants to find out about it. Raggy's in the house. Speaking of wild animals, you know, mate, Raggy's in now. Raggy's another wild animal you got to treat with respect, because he can bite if he wants to. Is that true, Raggy? I met a guy, I did film it, and I'm hoping I'll be able to get and edit it. We met a guy in a place called Chinaman's Creek, which is over near Perth, and he's a fantastic character, and he raises kangaroos, and he had at one time the largest male kangaroo in captivity, called Dougal.
Near Adelaide.
Oh, near Adelaide. Thank you, Michelle.
All right.
My oracle. So yeah, we had a chat with this guy. He's fascinating, and he basically he's a really old guy. I shouldn't really say that. I don't know what his age is, but he's an old character, one of those characters that are starting to vanish, and he's fascinating to listen to, and he knows everything about kangaroos. And we went to this place called Chinaman's Creek Reserve, which is out near Adelaide, a little bit south of Adelaide. Fantastic, really interesting guy. And if anyone's in Australia and you get a chance to go to Chinaman Creek and meet with Dougie, I don't know how many more years the fella's got, hopefully many more years, but you've got to go there. The guy is just great. So yeah, you've got to be careful. Oh, I don't think I'll rise to it. Just know that kangaroos are. I mean, a kangaroo, if you treat it with respect, is pretty easy to be around. But a large male, and if you look up, Google a picture of a muscular male kangaroo. If you Google that image, you'll see the strength of those things, and they can rip you open. They can completely the back end can come up on the tails, and they can claw down, and they can completely rip you open and kill you in a flash of a second. As quick as a dog will turn around and bite you, a kangaroo could completely disembowel you. So you got to be careful. And I don't want to talk about these miserable things, because actually kangaroos are gorgeous in the right environment. A lot tougher than you might give them credit for, but also very placid. So, lady over there doing a bit of box fit. Let me see if I can zoom in. I wonder what the noise was. Look. Isn't it amazing what people do nowadays? And I respect all these sort of things. We saw goat yoga the other day. We're in Australia's capital, Canberra, and there's a load of people sat in a park not dissimilar to this, doing yoga with goats. And so koalas are super cute, but I have heard if you took I'm not sure I've touched it in the threat. I'm terrible at reading. I don't quite understand that one, Kelly. Yeah, goat yoga is a big thing. Look, I get it. Goat yoga. I mean, if I were to set up in this park and have a load of gerbils or hamsters and say gerbil or hamster, am I being facetious, Michelle? So yeah, I mean, there's a girl here in the park punching a guy's hands, which is nice, keep him fit. But the world's going mad. The world's going mad. You know, get out and exercise and walk and have a good time, play around, have some fun, or go out into a park and punch somebody's gloves, or sit and have yoga with a goat, who, by the way, hasn't a clue what you're doing. We've kept sheep and had neighbours who have kept goats, and I assure you, they don't know what you're up to. If you haven't heard of goat yoga, by the way, it's basically where you go and sit and do yoga. So you're basically getting your yoga poses, and there'll be lots of little goats around you. And it's meant to have, I think, a calming effect. Although I'm sure the goats, I'm almost certain that the goats. and the funny thing was, there was goat crap everywhere. I mean, they were stood next to the person. There's somebody in the om, doing a little bit of like chanting or breathing, and there's like a little goat next to them going for a crap. So it wasn't, in my mind, particularly synonymous with relaxation, but it was quite funny to watch.
There's more spectators, I think, than participants.
Yeah, and it was a bit of fun. I think everybody was enjoying themselves, which is a good thing. Michelle, I want to find somewhere I can sit and be in enough shade.
The play park?
Go and sit on a swing in the play park.
Okay, we'll go for
I'm going to go over there, but it could be a bit noisy. Because Michelle's got a nice comfy seat.
Well, I'm not in the shade. But
just going to sit over by the information centre. So what have you all been up to? We've got some videos to make, some videos to edit. Oh, somebody was saying to me about doing a Chicago style pizza in the comments the other day. Now what's your idea about Chicago style pizzas? Because the more I look at it, there seems to be many different variations of a Chicago pizza, from the deep pan with a crust on top. Some of them are done with the cheese up the side and no crust on top. So I've been kind of researching. I wouldn't mind doing it. It's a very rich pizza, by the way. That's nice. Goats are sweet, Kelly. They're very nice, but they're also they tend to completely devour everything around them. They're great for clearing bush. It's amazing how goats can eat sort of brambles and thorns. I mean, when you touch their mouths, they feel quite soft, but they must be very leathery because they can eat absolutely anything, and they do eat everything. One of the problems a lot of people have if they keep a goat, somebody says, oh, I'm going to keep a goat as a pet, and then they put it in their garden. They lose their entire garden, because unless you keep them enclosed in, a goat will eat absolutely everything. They'll eat the bark off the trees. They'll eat every single plant. There's nothing they won't eat. Plant or mineral, to be honest. What does that mean? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. So we're going to stop, as I said, for a little while. Let me sit over here, sweetheart.
I'm in the sun.
You want to keep warm?
Yeah.
Okay, Michelle wants to keep warm, and I want to keep so I can read the comments. So starting next weekend, I'm going to get and make sure that videos are going up on a regular basis again, catch up with everybody, start leaving comments. I'll be able to get on top of them. I really haven't been able to get on top of the comments either, because sometimes we've had 4 or 5 days where we've had no internet whatsoever. We've had some beautiful locations, crocodiles coming up to the bank and sitting with us in our camps, freshwater crocodiles, which are fairly harmless, relatively harmless. We've had the wildlife has been just fantastic. We went to Coopabidi, which is a town in Australia where everybody, not everybody, but a lot of the people live underground, so it's a sort of troglodyte type living, where they it's very famous for its opal mining. So it was originally an opal mining community, and a lot of the houses, because there's no real water and it's very hot, they started building all the houses underground, and so it's just sort of there's a lot of, what do they call them, sort of underground dwellings, or cave dwellings.
If they want an extension, they just drill out another room, don't they?
Yeah, so if people wanted to add a room onto to their home, they would just sort of like get a few mates round, have a few glasses of wine, a glass of beer, and just dig another hole out. So it's a very fascinating little town, right in the middle of nowhere, as almost all the towns are in outback Australia. Then we started to think we ought to catch up with work, so we've just sort of driven in to Melbourne. We're going to stop here for a few weeks and get and do some work. Questions? Now, if you're watching this later, throw your questions up. I am near internet for the next few weeks, so I can answer your questions. I'll just go back up through and see if I've missed anything. Current events from Australia, June? I'll be honest, June, I don't like to follow current events. I mean political current events. I know there's been some changes in politicians. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't think they represent us very well, and so I tend to try to think if you give them too much attention, it validates them, and they certainly don't represent the people of Australia. So I tend not to pay much attention to them. And the news is just the usual shocking, appalling, bad news hash. So I tend to get most of my entertainment here on YouTube, and I try to focus on people that are. Thank you, Kelly. I think with this backdrop as well, it's quite plain, so it's probably quite high quality. We are in, by the way, we're in a town called Williamstown. It's really pretty. If I show you just over here, it's one of those old Aussie towns, a little bit like the Wild West. Got a bandstand in the centre. It's got a lot of nice yachts in the harbour. Got a view of what is Melbourne City over there. So if you look, probably can't see it in the distance, that's the city centre. Williamstown, really nice old town. Have a little wander through it. Let's have a little wander through Williamstown. Take you for a stroll. I love these old buildings. See, so we've got this pretty old stone building there. I mean, that shows you the sort of the history of Australia in many ways, and how the connection with our European cousins, to look at that building there. That could be in any old English town, perhaps even a German town. Very pretty. And then you've got what do they call these little tops on, no, castellets are they, on the top of the building here. And those nice sort of there's little bay windows. So all sort of no higher than 2 stories, maybe the occasional 3-story building.
Keeping them warm in the winter.
All right, and we're very good in Australia. We even keep our lampposts and signposts warm. Look, there's somebody who's actually crocheted little lamppost warmers, just so you know it's not a one-off. Here's another one. So it's give way to pedestrians, and then somebody's done a little crocheted crochet thing. What's that one over there, Michelle? This one's got little lines on it.
Flowers.
So hang on, we've got the parking tickets here. Look at that. Somebody's crocheted. Now, I hope you're taking note, because everybody should have crocheted signposts. There's another one here. Yarn bombing. Good, I'm glad the chat's not lagging. Well, that's why I was doing it today, because I know we're going to have good. I've paid for like 15 gigabytes of data all the time we've been traveling. We've never been anywhere where we can actually use it. I think I've used about sort of like a few hundred megabytes. So it's nice to be somewhere we can actually use it. Well, it's time the US started making little scarves and little jackets for its lampposts, and anywhere in Europe as well, Southeast Asia. Get out there, get your crocheting, get your knitting going. Now this one's a little bit sad.
No, this one's getting ready for spring. It's warming up. It's just pushed it down because it's warming up this morning.
Oh, right. So Michelle's right. This is warming up for spring. Whoops. You do it here. I bet you do. This is nice. There are 3 mums coming down the road with their little strollers.
The cyclist in the cafe over there.
But it's a Monday morning here in Australia. The cyclists are out. You can see over at the little cafe over there. They often meet up in little groups, so they cycle up. Crocheting looks different on the lamppost.
Very humorous. Growing up, my dad.
It's nice, isn't it? Little crocheted lampposts. I've seen that in a few towns. So this here, that's the Bayview Hotel. And they've got some tennis courts over here, little children's play park. And they've got quite a few European trees here as well, deciduous trees, because a lot of Australian suburbs don't have old style landy. A lot of Australian suburbs don't have these sort of deciduous trees. They usually have more the big old gum trees in them. So you can also see that that's probably a sort of European influence. There's what?
There's a big anchor.
Big anchor. There's another parrot. Just focus on him. It's a very charming town. There's a little parrot there. A huge, great big anchor. Because it's a nautical town, Williamstown. Traditionally, it's a port. So yes, it's Monday morning here. Almost probably Monday lunchtime. Nelson Place, the Vault on Nelson, little bar, little pub here. Williamstown.
The ice cream shops are closed.
Well, the ice cream shops are closed because it's winter. Well, it's not winter, it's just rolled over into spring. So it's the first month, I think, of spring. And even though it's nice and warm, you're not going to find the ice cream stores doing much business this time of year. So let's walk up here. Usual sort of zebra crossings. Cross over. Fong's Kitchen. Now there's a massive Asian community on this side of Melbourne as well. So there's some really great Asian eateries. I think it's mainly Chinese on this side. Some areas are more Vietnamese. A nice old traditional Aussie pub, one on every corner. So we take a little walk down one of these residential, semi-residential streets. Never had good internet before. And doing a little bit of planting here, that's quite nice. Just sectioned it off. You've got all these sort of succulent, almost like desert plants. Let me just turn the camera around. Those of you that like your plants. So they've got these sorts of succulents. They're very thick, grow in almost any environment. Got the usual Melbourne graffiti. Around Australia, Melbourne's famous for its graffiti. That's not a very good example of it. In the city, they have some really quite nice public art, we would call it, rather than graffiti. But of course, whenever there is a lot of graffiti, you get this tagging where kids come along and do this awful tagging, which is talentless really. me just come in the shade here, read some of your comments. Columbus Day, is that what it is? Columbus Day, did I miss that? Nice birds. Sunday night, it is a charming town. What's that, Michelle?
The former Chronicle office, the local newspaper, the Williamstown Chronicle, was first published here in 1854. The paper was published for 100 years. Former publisher Robert Neal built up a chain of suburban newspapers.
Okay, so once was the Chronicle. A lot of these old newspapers around the world now are going out of circulation, and it's kind of understanding, I guess, because, you know, and I know some of you are going to say you do, but who reads papers nowadays? It's become g'day. It's become almost a dying industry, hasn't it?
That's private expenses.
So, you know, we just saw a boat called the Office. I got a feeling that it belongs to this company. I wouldn't be surprised. Chances that that boat, and I've just seen those guys, the two guys heading off down to the waterfront there. I wouldn't be surprised if this boat is theirs, or at least connected. Aiken Street. Very historical place, Kelly. Beautiful place.
The mayor of Williamstown, apparently, it was named after.
Okay. I'm going to take you down a little residential street here. Lemon trees all over Melbourne, so you get a lot of citrus fruit growing here. It's warm enough for that, and we get lemons growing almost all year round. They come in abundance this time of year. I think it's this time of year. It's pretty little houses, very typical single-story houses, which are more common in Australia than double-story properties. Having said that, some double-story properties here. In the parrots in the trees. You'll find, I think this is a birch. Correct me if I'm wrong. Silver birch. Unusual, not a native tree. A lot of the older residents here love their roses. You see a lot of roses. Just show you here. They're called standard roses. Every one of these is a rose bush. Very pretty. Later in the spring, a garden like this is going to smell gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Over there, that's a very, very typical Australian property. Tin roof, rolled tin eaves. So you see on the front here, this is super common in Australia. This rolled tin front on the porches. They're not doing it as much nowadays. They're not doing it as much with the newer buildings, and I do wish in a way they'd reintroduce this you know, maybe start forcing a little bit, because look at that. How horrible is that building? You know, you've got this is a traditional Aussie timber property, and then that still happens, less so now, that big tower block there, but it brings nothing to a community other than sort of way too densely populated areas, too much traffic. So I'm hoping we can introduce some sort of regulations to try and make new properties respect the style of the old towns, because it's a great shame when we lose some of these weatherboard, as we call them, timber houses. So here's one that's more modern.
Still got tin roof.
Still got the tin roof, the traditional Australian tin roof. Never used tiles. There's a more modern sort of 70s style bungalow there, or single story dwelling unit, and they've used tiles, but as a rule It's traditional Aussie house, has a tin roof. And those rolled edged buildings, and then occasionally they'll build something like this, which is, I mean, it's just horrible in every, what would Prince Charles say, carbuncle on society. It is a carbuncle, isn't it? Isn't this just soulless? How many, look, you have some great communities, even in buildings like this. You can still have great communities, fantastic people, but it's not, in my belief, the way we should ever have gone, and thankfully they're not building them in that particular style anymore here in Melbourne, from what I've seen. So the lady's just come, she's just come and she's unloading all her timber. So that's her burning timber. She's obviously got a wood stove in that house, so she's probably stocking up for timber. They're probably stocking up for timber for next winter, because it does get pretty cold. It does look like it doesn't belong, doesn't it, Jen? It just looks, well, it doesn't belong. That's why it doesn't belong here. And right next door we've got single-story unit. Traditionally we call them, the English would call them bungalows. In Australia they don't call them bungalows, they call them units. Yeah, they're property taxes, they have the local property taxes. Yeah, and it's got very little charm about it whatsoever. I don't want to sit and bag on this poor building. You know, at one time somebody built this and was probably proud. Actually, no, I don't think an architect was ever particularly proud of it. Though it was somebody's job, some young architect probably. Actually,
But it was a nice street look with all these little old houses.
I bet it wasn't a young architect. Young architects wouldn't have, a young man, young lady, as an architect, they just wouldn't have put their heart behind that. There's some sort of more mature
corporate decision
person would do. But you see, there's another traditional, you see this, look, tin roof, tin roof, tin roof, tiled roof, tin roof, tin roof, tin roof.
and the new building's tin roof.
It's very typical. Is that common in any parts of Europe or the USA, Southeast Asia, tin roofs? A lot of Aussies, when they live overseas, miss the old tin roofs, because when it rains you get the sound. See that whole block along there is all tin roofs, pretty houses, lovely little filigree porches. So I think one of the sounds you tend to miss, because there's nothing nicer than the sound of a storm on a tin roof, and also nothing noisier. I mean, if you like that sound, you know, the tin roof, the rain on the tin roof, but if you're watching something or listening to something, forget it. You can't hear a thing. Love these bird of paradise flowers. Always like these. Is that what they're called? I think they're bird of paradise, aren't they, Michelle? That's what we call them anyway.
Doesn't mean it's right, that's what we call them.
That's what we call them. Now another, and this hasn't got a tin roof, another thing you see a lot of in Australia are this sort of blind on properties. So they come down vertically, and they can also come out at an angle. So that's very common. But these older houses, these older properties, and here's a real good example. I don't know if you can see back there. There's an older property in there. They're lovely. Typical porch. This one's got a slanted roof rather than a curved roof. Just get out of the sun a little. The sun in Melbourne is very harsh. We have a hole somewhere in the ozone apparently. So Jan says, yeah, lots of read it as shingle roofs. The building looked like more like a hospital. Yeah, even over my shoulder there, you can see it imposing from almost anywhere you stand. That thing stands there. Can you imagine when they built it? They must have been up in arms in this area. Hey Sahel, how are you? Metal. Jan, metal. A lot of redo the shingle roofs with, oh, mental. Sorry, Jan. Metal. Australians like tin roofs. We have more tin roofs than anywhere. Look how pretty that one is, for example. And you can see why. Just how pretty that is. Let me just zoom in there. Nice little rounded tin. So we seem to be doing all right on internet, Michelle.
Yeah, we do.
There will be more food videos up very soon, and some travel videos. And we are going to Tasmania next year. So only a few months away, to be honest.
It's early next year.
Very early next year, we're going to Tasmania. Another rolled roof. Older style. This is another thing you often see where they paint the tin roofs green, greens and blues. Very common. Now we're coming to the newer high street. I think it's the newer high street of Williamstown. A little bit different. Still some nice old buildings. Autocorrect, I know. Jan. Good on you, Raggy. Take care, mate. Have a good day. Raggy's off.
He's off.
Say goodbye, Raggy.
Bye, Raggy.
Thank you. Love the chocolate milkshake video. And that was a really plain. I was trying to get back to the traditions of the very simple old milkshakes, and some people didn't quite catch that. We weren't going for that look of, you know, the best chocolate milkshake with the thickest sort of thing and lots of bling and sprinkles on top. We're going for that real simple milkshake, the old style, where you have a banana milkshake that tastes like it's not over sweet, it's not over thick, and just getting all the flavors of banana and fresh milk. So that little series that we did quite some years ago now was just all about trying to recapture simple strawberry, simple vanilla and simple chocolate milkshakes. 2018 is almost over, Raggy. Oh, it's Kelly there. I'm seeing Raggy on the top. Sorry, Kelly. It's almost over. What are we now? October, so we only got really November, December, and then we're in. We're off to Tasmania. We've got some really great plans for next year. We're going to try and do everything next year in smaller bites, so we can actually keep up with it. I think we're discovering. So look, we've come to another high street here now. You want to have coffee somewhere, Michelle? We see somewhere.
We might not find a nice one. We're quite particular about our cafes, aren't we?
We are very particular about our cafes. So this little old bike here.
Coffee Williams, gorgeous accessories.
I'm going to let you see the high street. Tell me to turn around if you want. This is always a nice sign of spring and summer when the old pinwheels come out. Well, this place looks alright. Should we stop and have coffee? Alright, let's go and you go and order, Michelle. I'll just have.
Come in and we'll see. Then
okay, we're going to go inside. Just have a little look. See. I'm going to have a vanilla slice. You're going to have an apricot?
Yeah.
Okay. Michelle's going to have an apricot slice, and I'm going to have a medium coffee. Good day. Good. We're just trying to work out. I'm live streaming. You don't mind? I've got a. Do you want to say hello? Say hello. So I'm going to have a latte in whole milk, full cream, medium. And lemon, vanilla slice. I'll let Michelle finish this off. It feels very sweet. Let her pay. All comes from the same coffers. So I'm going to have a vanilla slice. I quite often have a caramel slice out. Actually, Kelly, I was saying to you, I didn't see caramel slices there. Almost one of the most common slices in Australia is the vanilla slice. But I feel like something heavier. Yes, you're a very pretty little girl. Didn't notice, Jan. Too busy looking at Michelle. Kelly, I'll go and say hello. I'll go and say hello to her. When these guys, I've got a couple of guys there now.
Just going to bring it out. Sitting here or that one?
We'll say hello to her.
Yeah.
Is this where you want to sit?
I thought the one behind was more shady for you.
No, it's all right.
Okay, cool.
It's my water, my Google water.
I said nice and strong.
Look, I know a lot of you have dropped out, and some of you are still hanging in. It doesn't matter about the numbers. A lot of people will possibly watch this a little bit later on. Twitter interactions from Steve's Kitchen. So we'll say hello to the girl when she brings it out.
How's your battery going?
Did you ask her to make it strong?
I said extra
Yeah.
nice and strong. She said yes.
Yeah. I haven't looked at the battery, Michelle.
How's your battery going?
34. Let's plug it in for a little while.
So, yellow one?
Yeah. I'm going to pop you guys on the table. Over here.
Around
Plug in a battery, get a little bit of power.
while we can. No. Yep. Cool.
So we've got some extra power there. Keep chatting for a little while longer. I've got this nice microphone. I can't really show it to you, but it should be giving really good quality sound, and it comes from Rode microphones. They're fantastic. We're really enjoying the Rode microphones actually. You see people using Rodes out and about, but I'm super impressed by this one. It's like a tiny little thing, but it's got really good wind cover, I hope. It's my blue water bottle, and this, Jan, is that Jan that said that? You know what this is? It's one of those, let me just pull it off like that. You'll probably recognise it. I got it from Google. It's one of those bands that you use for, cycling.
She posed for you. She did a little pose at the end, at that end.
Oh, did you see that, guys? One of the girls was posing. So I keep it round my bottle. Now, why do I keep it round my bottle? No reason other than habit. But originally, I showed my mother this and I said, oh, I love these little bottles. These, I don't know what brand they are, Contigo.
I've got a green one.
Michelle's got a green one, I have a blue one. They come in all sorts of different colours. And I said to my mother, we went to visit her, I said, oh, I love these bottles. So she said, oh, I like those, I'll go out and get one. So she went out and she bought a blue one. So we both had, for a week or so when we were visiting her, we both had these two blue bottles. And I said, oh, well, I'll put this around it so I know which one is which. Well, I mind drinking out the same bottle as my mother, but it just sort of like separated them out, and I've never taken it off since. Slap bands, is that what they're called? You're going to fire up the Barbie, Cynthia.
Oh, nice.
Good for you. So I've got a custard slice.
Custard slice.
Now this custard slice is quite small. We had one of these on the drive down through the centre of Australia. We stopped at a. Is the sound still good with all this noise? I should test that out. We stopped at a place a little bit past Daily Waters, which is a famous pub. We stopped at a place and had a custard slice. It was about this big. I don't know if that sort of shows it. It was about this big and about this, like a doorstep. And Michelle and I, I was going to say we couldn't finish it. We did finish it. But man, I couldn't move for hours. That and the pie and chips that we had as well.
It was a trucker told us to stop there, didn't it? That was good.
So does this microphone work well in this sort of street environment where there's a lot of car noise and people reversing and chatting and things? Does it work fine? I'm going to stay on for quite a little while just in case I can pick up on. I want to say hello to everybody, so if anybody's sort of drops in or they suddenly notice that we're live, it'd be nice to say hello. So if you come on and you haven't heard the earlier parts of the show today, just say hi and what's happening, and I'll try and sort of refresh you on what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So here we go.
Vanilla slice.
The young girl didn't come out.
No, she's making her coffee.
All right.
And I went for an apricot slice.
Let me have a look at your apricot slice, Michelle. So Michelle's got the apricot slice. This looks really yellow through here.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's apricot colour.
And I got the vanilla slice. But the one we had on the road was about that high.
And about
that wide.
Yes, thank you very much.
Now the young lady's not coming out, but gentlemen's, the UK says hello.
Oh look, I've got a little heart on mine. And you've got...
So I've got a little shamrock. Michelle's got a little heart.
Nice.
Beautiful. So, we've got a mukbang going on now. Hey Jasper, how are you? Jan, they do have good mics, and I've got a lot of different microphones over the years that we use, but I'm really liking this this Rode mic. And I tell you what, a little bit biased here, but they are an Australian brand as well, which is a nice thing. It's nice to see a company who's Australian doing so well in the sound market.
Would you like to try my apricot slice?
Now I'm going to try
because you can.
Michelle's apricot slice. She's just kindly taken the corn off. Mind if she hadn't, she'd have been in trouble.
Nice coffee. Nice?
Yeah, nice. Like a not overly sweet apricot jam running through the centre of a shortbread biscuit. Now, slapping his lips together. The vanilla slice is like a vanilla custard. Have we made this on the channel?
No.
Never made a vanilla slice?
No.
It's odd how we never make the very simple things that are common, like we'd only made...
Just made the caramel.
It was only when Kelly said about the Millionaire's Bar, I realised we hadn't even done a caramel slice. So much we haven't done. So this is like should be a fairly mild vanilla custard with a, like a puff pastry either side and a sweet top. And they should be a little bit rubbery. Oh, I'm losing my sugar.
Can't have that.
Very sweet.
But your coffee's good.
Hello, marmalade. Marmalade K. I don't even think have we made marmalade? So the coffee is the lens.
Nice
Should
coffee.
be strong. Yeah, it's good Sorry we haven't done many videos lately, everybody. We're trying to catch up, and we are going to catch up now. Did I get a thumbs up? Hit that thumbs up, everybody, while you're on there. I should have done it when there was 20 or so people in. But what made me think of the thumbs up was actually, is this sound good, or is it picking up all these trucks and lorries around me? Because it's quite noisy here, isn't it?
It is. Every so often. Maybe you should turn it that way a little bit.
No, it should be
okay.
Facing.
That's all right then. We should ask everyone what their favourite Christmas recipes are. I get some ideas.
Oh, Christmas recipes. I'm not probably going to do a lot of Halloween recipes this time. Please forgive me. I do love Halloween. I'm not going to do a great deal of Halloween, but I have got a huge collection of Halloween recipes, like maybe close to sort of 50 or so different Halloween recipes, and I'll put a link later on. If you watch this later, I'll put a link to all the Halloween stuff. I'm not probably going to do any this year. But what about Christmas?
Maybe we can do Thanksgiving this year.
Might be able to do some Thanksgiving stuff if we stop long enough. Quince ideas. I mean, quince is great for jams. I think you make a great quince jam. That's the obvious one, isn't it? But you can make quince tarts. You can actually make a quince curds, because quince are like any of those sort of, when you think of traditional cooking apples which are very sour, like crab apples, or you think of lemons which are quite sour, quinces which are, you know, close to inedible on their own, Valencia oranges, no, Seville oranges. Think of recipes that go very well, that need that additional sweetener to make the fruit taste good. So curds, tarts, quince tarts, quince jams. You can actually use quinces in savoury dishes as well. If you sort of stew them, and you can add them to like you can with lemons
And figs.
and figs. Lots you can do with quinces. I haven't had access to quinces in a long time though. This fella's about to leave. It's out in one go. Good job on him.
Yeah.
Citron C5. Citrons are pretty rare in Australia.
Yeah.
I don't see many citrons. Probably get another one pull up next to me now. I love marmalade, but to be honest, the only real good marmalades, in my opinion, are made with Seville oranges, sour oranges. It's a little bit, to get really great marmalades, you need to have really great oranges, and the reason marmalade used to be made was firstly to preserve oranges, but it was also a way of using those orange varieties that were almost inedible, so you sweeten them up and preserve them at the same time.
I think when you make a marmalade with sweet oranges, it's more of a jam, isn't it?
I'm going for a big mouthful here, everyone.
Everyone walks by and suddenly notices the camera. What's he doing?
I'll turn it this way. I'll turn it this way, so when people walk by and give that sort of like all the cameras on recognition, you guys will be able to see it as well. Okay, Marmalade K, sleep well. Oh, it's late in the UK. Kelly's up then.
Wow.
Late. Kelly, sorry to keep you up.
Must be after midnight.
Who's in the UK? Who else is in the UK? Get to bed. Night night.
We've all got work tomorrow. Monday.
So it's a work day.
We're working hard.
It's a work day. Michelle and I have run off our feet. Okay, it's a Ford.
Is he going to get in one?
I wasn't proven silly with another Citroen pulling up. Would have been funny, wouldn't it, if another Citroen had pulled up and I just said they're pretty rare. And when we were touring around Europe recently, and we stayed in Sicily, we had a Citroen. Lovely cars.
You just don't see them here, do you? A few.
You're a night owl. Who? You? Hello, little fella. Little boy's got his dinosaur shirt on. All the little kids, they love dinosaurs, don't they?
Yeah.
All ours love dinosaurs.
Yeah. Not little anymore.
They're not little anymore now. They're all independent, grown up, unlike Michelle and I.
Got my t-shirt on.
Michelle's t-shirt, look.
It's probably backwards, is it?
Never want to grow up.
That's why we stop for coffee and cake.
You don't ever want to grow up, really. Not, you know, the world is a tough old place if you conform to what you're told to conform to by the big square idiot box that we all have, you know. It's a beautiful place if you ignore that and live outside of the realms of influence. Unfortunately, news and current affairs and TV shows, we see it. We did see a lot of this. I'll tell you a little sort of grumble. It's not a grumble. Observation. We would often stop occasionally to freshen up, get some cleaning done in campsites around Australia. As we really loved stopping in the bush where we just had to cook our food over a fire and we just had our own independence. But occasionally we'd stop in a now I've just turned this around the camera so you can see this gentleman. For some reason he's walking backwards.
I thought he was waiting for a child.
I'm not reversing the camera. I'm not reversing, but he's decided for some reason, and he's still going. Now what's that about? Those of you that didn't quite catch it, I'll just zoom in. Whoops. The camera is not in reverse. That gentleman is walking entire High Street backwards. What's the world coming to? Isn't it odd? I tell you, some crazy things going on. So we'd stop sometimes in these campsites just to sort of freshen up, maybe 2 or 3 days max. And a lot of these travellers would turn up, well, they call, you know, travellers or grey nomads, we call them in Australia, sort of older couples who travel. And there'd be like a communal area where everyone would sit and sort of chat, and they'd rock up to these communal areas and all sit down and on like the picnic benches that were provided, and they all face the TV. There was a TV, and they turn it on, turn it up loud, and all just sit and watch television, which really frustrated us because I don't know, you know, you're thousands of miles from anywhere. That used to and so yes, there's an element, I think, in life that television and education and politics will keep you trapped within the norms of society, and I think it's good to get outside it sometimes. He is possibly from a slightly backwards school. You're right, Jasper. For those of you that missed it, the gentleman just walked by and is still way off in the distance, walking backwards. Now, what do you call these, this young lady that's coming up here now? We call them a papoose, where they carry the baby on the front.
Ah, yes.
On the front.
I can't see what you're looking at. Yes.
So, what do you guys, what word will you use for that sort of carrying device that the mother has? Cute, aren't they?
Yeah, the baby's big enough now, so she turned him round so they can see.
They're cute until they get to the size, we've used them before, until they get to the size where you literally, it's like carrying a very heavy backpack. I think every parent gets one of those. Yes. And uses them for a week or two, and then realises that a pushchair is a lot
We
easier.
used them for our daughter, and she used to like the dried mango. She'd get it all on my back, and she'd like all the sticky dried mango.
Oh, that's the back one.
That's the back one, yeah. Yes.
When it's on the front, it's more of a papoose.
Yes.
I don't think on the back it's called a papoose.
Probably not.
We got a lovely film of the Joey coming out of the mother's pouch, and at Chinaman Creek, where we were staying at the time, he told us it was the first time the Joey had come out.
Yeah.
It's quite a big little. A Joey is a baby kangaroo, by the way, so it was quite pretty to see. And what happened? Let me just read that. I think it is an exercise trip, but you've got to have a lot of nerve walking backwards through the street. You've got to have a lot of confidence.
I think he was exercising. He had his water.
Yeah. So with the kangaroos, the Joeys, when they're in the pouch, the mother actually contracts the muscles around the pouch entrance, and when she wants the Joey to come out, she can relax the pouch. The pocket opens up and the Joey almost sort of falls out of the pouch. So when she's had enough of him being in there and constantly, because they have to clean out the pouch, you know, the mothers. You can imagine there's a little, imagine having a little pocket on the front of you made of skin, and you keep your baby in there and feed it, because of course it can feed. There's the glands are inside there for feeding the little Joeys. So imagine it's going for pups and peas in there, so a mother has to constantly clean that out. Kangaroos are amazing, aren't they?
Yeah.
And when she's ready, she can actually just then release it. And kangaroos can have, I think, up to 3 pregnancies going at one time.
Yes.
So whilst they've got a Joey in the pouch, they can have a fully formed, I think this is correct. Certainly I was told this sometime.
Well, they have 3, don't they? They have one just out the pouch.
Yeah.
One just gone into the pouch, and then one waiting to form in the womb.
Yes. And she can also, which is quite remarkable, she can put that pregnancy on hold. So if she's actually pregnant, she can actually put that on hold if there's a lack of food, you know, there's a drought on. So she can put that on, and for quite some time.
It's about a year.
Yeah, for about a year or so, she can hold off having that baby until she's ready. Which is fascinating, isn't it?
Because they're only small, aren't they, when they come out and they pull up?
When they come out like bears, tiny little mammals are very tiny, almost tadpole sized, maybe a bit bigger.
And they got to crawl up to the pouch, haven't they?
Yes. They have to work their way up the fur and get into the pouch. Is that right?
Yeah, I think Doug was saying that she licks at a trail. She makes a wet trail for her to climb up.
So the mother kangaroo will lean down, because they're very flexible, and she can lick a trail up to encourage the Joey to climb up and into the pouch. So it's really, they're amazing animals.
It's probably what all marsupials do. We were just talking about kangaroos, but there's a lot of marsupials here, isn't there?
I was lucky enough, we were lucky enough to see a black-footed wallaby, they're quite rare. And I did a live stream. I did get some film of it as well, but it wasn't that great. So if you saw that live stream, you were lucky enough to see quite a rare kangaroo, quite hard to spot because they're nocturnal.
And there's not many of them around. That was in Alice, wasn't it?
Listen, I'm quiet. There's no vehicles. So, tell me some of your events. What's been going on with you? There's 8 of you in at the moment. Listening, anyone lurking in there? How is your spring or autumn panning out? Are you dreading another long winter or looking forward to it? Is it warm where you are? Do you have, really, like us, quite warm winters? let me know. Wow, strong coffee. What are you all up? You finished yours, Michelle?
My cake, but not my coffee. I shared my cake.
Want some?
No. That's why it's finished though, because I shared it.
You give me a little bit.
I shared it.
Give me grief now. And yeah, cold and rainy. Well, that's the worst time, isn't it? I actually quite liked it when we were in Michigan because it was actually cold and snowy.
It was it wasn't raining.
And I know Shirley and Dave, our friends up in Michigan there, I think it's a bit like children really, when you can sort of hand them back. It's when when they're yours and you've got them all the time, they can sometimes be a lot of work. We never found the children that much work really, did we? But and then you often hear grandparents say, it's great to be a grandparent, you can hand the children back. I think that's the same with winters.
Oh, I wonder where you were going.
Yeah, I wonder where I was going with it. If you rock up to Michigan and sort of go to visit someone and say, oh, it's beautiful this winter, I love it. There's icicles, there's snow going on, there's kind of, oh, it's so good. And then you bugger off.
They've still got 4 months of snow.
And you're heading off to warmer climes. And they've just had sort of your cold, long, sort of wet weather. And then they're going into this wintry weather, which is still probably going to last at least maybe another sort of 3 months or so.
Little Mini
Cooper S. So yes, that's the analogy I was making, by the way, of having children you can give them back, is that also when you visit a cold place or go skiing up in the mountains, you get the same sometimes when you go to the Alps and things. You say, oh, it's lovely, this is so beautiful, I'm skiing for 3 weeks in the Alps, and the people that actually live there are just dying to get away for some warmth. Hey Paul, man, charcuterie, Paul, is my passion, and yes, I'd love to do some, but I've just got to find the right environment, and we're changing up. I'm trying to give you some more travel as well, and I know some of you will find the travel boring and some of you will find it, but our lives are what they are, we can't change that. So we have to a Renault Trafic, another French car. So Citroen, French car, left. A Ford came in, American car, and now a Renault Trafic, another French car.
Busy cafe.
It's a busy cafe. Makes good coffee. Jasper, yeah, it's dried up river. Where are you, Jasper? Which part of the world are you in? Thanks, Annette. Where was I going? I was talking about something just a moment ago.
About travelling. We'll travel.
So yes, we travel, so that's what we're going to have to share with you, and I'm trying to introduce as much food as I can. What's up?
They didn't know where to sit and they face with their backs to you.
They turned round?
Yeah. He's turned a bit now. There.
These lads, I've got the camera on, so I think they're facing backwards.
Yeah.
Probably they're having an early lunch. They shouldn't be out here. That's the only thing with these cameras, is you can sometimes catch people having times off work when they shouldn't. I remember we were on a pier once.
Yes.
Over in Mornington, and I was chatting with a lad who was really interesting to chat to. He was basically a let me just turn the camera so I'm not getting everybody behind me, and give them a bit of peace and respect. So he was really fascinating. I was chatting with him, but he was wearing like a courier t-shirt, and he said, don't put me on video. He said, I'm meant to be at work. And he was like a mail delivery. And I thought, oh, you bugger. he kind of should be delivering my parcels, and you're down on the pier. He was fishing, wasn't he?
He was. He was.
So he was fishing off the pier, and he should have been delivering mail. So it was funny, but at the same time, it was making me a little bit sort of wary of the fact that quite often when your parcels don't turn up,
Which we did have that in.
we had stuff coming, that maybe the guy was down at the pier fishing. So I've turned you straight on. So yeah, it's kind of finding that balance and trying to give you as much. Of course, it's which part of Germany though, Jasper? I remember you saying Germany before. So you're having real problems, not enough water? Oh, thanks, Annette. She just found the channel a couple of weeks ago, and she's watching a lot of our videos. So that's nice.
Oh, cool. I'm having a very lazy morning with nothing to do. Usually I'm doing things on the live streams.
Yeah. I'll try and include a bit more of Michelle in these live streams. She's getting jealous now.
No, I'm not.
See a little Tinkerbell t-shirt. So yes, lots of fantastic plans. We're travelling, a lot more travelling, and I'll try to keep up with the food as much as I can.
See, this Renner is a courier.
Oberlausitz Sachsen, Hermhut, Oberlausitz Sachsen. Well, that's the area Jasper's from. Oberlausitz. Sorry, not that clear. I can't see. That sounds like it's southern. I don't know why. Why does that? Is that in the south? So actually, this guy here is this guy's Toll Express, and it was actually the Toll Express guy, wasn't it? That I was down the pier fishing.
He's busy, that's the went one that way and now he's going the other way.
Naughty. Paul saying he loved the Hogshead cheese. Hogshead cheese.
Oh yes, yes.
Thank you, mate.
Oh look, there's a Spirit of Tasmania going by in the background. The ferry.
That's too far away, Michelle won't be able to see that. Long way behind me is the Spirit of Tasmania. It's the boat that we'll be taking in a few months' time to go across to Tasmania.
12 hours.
It's a 12-hour boat journey. It's about $700 return, $800.
600,
500,
600, yeah.
So it's not a cheap crossing, but it's going to take us to a beautiful part of the world, and we're really looking forward to it. And I want to keep taking you on these tours, but we got to find some way. We're not good YouTubers, Michelle and I.
We're learning. We're learning.
Not good YouTubers. We're not good at.
We don't learn fast.
We don't learn fast. We learn slow.
Very slow.
Hey ho. So yeah. Good coffee, nice and strong.
It was a good coffee, wasn't it?
Now I'd say the no, I'm not going to start critiquing the
Critiquing. Mine was very nice.
Yeah,
yes.
critiquing. I'm going to start critiquing the cakes.
Did anybody give you any suggestions for Christmas recipes?
I don't know if I asked, did I?
You did.
Christmas recipes.
What's your favourite?
What is your favourite Christmas food? It's probably a little early. Probably people are starting. You should be making your Christmas puddings, by the way.
And
I'll put a
cakes.
link down, but I've got 2 or 3 recipes for some fantastic Christmas pudding. And your cake you should have been making last month, Michelle.
Yes.
But you can start making your Christmas cakes now. You want to get your Christmas cakes made as early as possible because they mature. They get richer with time, and you also want to feed it with whatever you want to do. So if you don't want to go alcoholic, you can feed it with alcoholic. If you don't want to have alcohol in it, you can feed it with juices. But if you want to have a traditional Christmas cake, you're going to put some brandy in it and feed the cake. So you want to get it going. But Christmas puddings, everybody, and make at least 2. Christmas puddings, because if you don't eat it, you can save it till next year and it'll be really good. Year-old Christmas puddings are excellent, and I make some of the best Christmas puddings, even if I do say so myself. A nice standing rib, oh yeah, cool, that would be great. Beautiful it's a long time since I've had a lovely beef rib standing, basted slowly in an oven so it crumbles apart. One of the best cuts. Make some wedding cookies.
We're not getting married.
Is that? Anywho, Mexican wedding cookies. Would they be like sort of with the Catarina, the cookies? Would they have that sort of Catarina design on them as well? I think they probably would have. We've seen a few Mexican weddings when we were in Mexico.
Yeah.
I love Mexico. We've got to go back. So many places we've got to go back to. Live in the Everglades. Nice. We've been to the Everglades once or twice. Love it. So Jasper says he's near the Czech border and Poland, so he's not down south. He's further north.
There, okay.
It's a powered cookie or powdered cookie? Powered cookie? It might be a typo, anywho. So yeah, what's your favourite Christmas recipe? And you should be getting your Christmas puddings made now.
And your mincemeat.
And your mincemeat, if you're going. No, you can make mincemeat closer to the date. I don't mind the mincemeat because it's nice. Well, if you're going to make mincemeat, which is the sweet mince, you should make your own. Honestly, every single. Ahmed, how are you? Have a good day, buddy. Ahmed's in. Good to see you, man. It is a nice day. I hope you have a nice day. So you can make your own mincemeat to make mince pies at Christmas time. You really should. Homemade mincemeat, it just knocks the socks clean off of anything you can buy in the supermarkets. Any of your luxury mince pies, homemade, and it's so cheap to make and so easy to make as well. You make a big batch of it, so all throughout Christmas then you can just knock up batches of mince pies. I've got a whole series of mince meat recipes and mince pies, whether you like them with a savoury short crust pastry, a sweet short crust pastry, or with a puff pastry. I've got a whole series out there, so if you want to see how to make different types of mince pies, my particular favourite are a short crust pastry, but not a sweet short crust pastry, so I like it actually made with lard, so they're slightly savoury, because I think the sweetness of the mincemeat is a great balance. So really try and make mincemeat this year. If you don't make anything else, if you haven't made mincemeat before, try and make it. I think I've got 2 or 3 recipes for mincemeat. There's one on there that I think was the year before last, which is a super cheap way of doing it. You just need to buy the mix through. Still works fantastically well. You get all your seasonings, all your usual sort of suspects, your cinnamons and nutmeg and everything. Good works. Speculatus? It's nice. They're from Gewürz. Speculatus.
Like speculoos, biscuits.
Byron saying it's dark in Wisconsin. Paul says, what are Christmas puddings? Not sure what you're referring to. The shortbread cookies are great. Paul, Christmas pudding is like a plum pudding, so you'll see it in all the sort of, it's very, very rich, very, for us it's that very archetypal, traditional carrots. It's that typical, Christmas dessert. So very heavy, dense, almost like a fruit cake, but even heavier than a fruit cake. And usually by the time you finish your Christmas dinner, everybody's sort of gone through, you've had your turkeys and hams, you've cooked everything up, and then they bring out, they wheel out the Christmas pudding, set a light to it, flame it, put some brandy over it, set a light, we cut it up, serve it with brandy butter or custard or ice cream, or the way I like it is with brandy butter, custard and ice cream. And cream. Then you try to eat this Christmas pudding, and man, it's like trying to sort of like overindulge after you've overindulged. Jan says the first meal she ever watched the meals in a mug. I've done quite a few. I did a series of meals in a mug. Did a really nice Christmas pudding in a mug, Jan. If you probably saw that then. It was a nice,
You too?
I think we did like Christmas pudding and custard in a mug.
Yes, we did.
So that's a nice, if you want to get a feeling of what a Christmas pudding could be like without going to the sort of like, that's actually, Jan, that's a good thing you've said there, because if you want to try a Christmas pudding but you don't want to go to the trouble of making one, have a look at my Christmas pudding in a mug, or truck go by, or my luxury Christmas pudding in a mug, which is also done then with a custard in a mug. That's good, and it tastes, that will give you a real understanding of what Christmas pudding tastes like. I think I managed to encapsulate all the flavours of Christmas pudding. But if you really want to enjoy Christmas pudding the way we would enjoy it, go out and eat more food than you can possibly eat until you're so full that you're undoing your belt buckle and you're letting everything sort of hang out, and then have Christmas pudding. Then you know exactly what it feels like, because you've really overindulged. If you're watching, what was the first video you can remember watching of mine? Fruit tarts, yes. Oh, fruit tarts. I mean, in Australia we actually call them
sweet mint spice.
Sweet mint spice. Sweet fruit.
No, sweet mince.
Yeah. Getting confused, there's a guy reversing up here. He's coming at quite an angle. He's about to clock. Yeah, he has clocked the curb. Oh, what?
Is it a guy?
Anywho, brown sauce. Yeah, I mean, some of my other favourite videos, the corn dog in it. Oh, so quite recently.
Yeah.
Well, can you get more out of a tart than a pie? Or is actually a pie just a tart with a lid on it? I'm not sure, Jasper. You can certainly visually, that's a debate, I'm not fully, I don't know. Who thinks you can, what do you prefer, a pie or a tart? I think there's probably, that's how long is a piece of string, isn't it? Because some tarts are fantastic, some pies are fantastic. I'm a big lover of the Portuguese custard tarts, pastel de nata, Portuguese custard tarts, and I love lemon tarts. Similar sort of tart, the Portuguese custard tarts. I think I've got those on my channel, so you can actually check those out if you want. It's a little tart with a custard filling in it, a little bit like these pies that we have here, but they're usually done really dark, so they start to blister. So you bake them so they start to blister. What are you smiling at?
It's the way she was virtually braining around, looks to it. I just like watching people.
Michelle's grinning because she's sat there, look, I'm doing all.
I'm doing nothing, I'm just relaxing. Nothing to do.
I was about to say I'm doing all the work. It doesn't look like work.
But you're reading and talking.
The Yum Cha house over there.
Japanese restaurant over there. Over there, right.
So the numbers, I think probably this guy's having a lot of trouble trying to either park or leave. He's given up. There's some parking over here in the centre of the street. There's parking that's neither frontwards. It's like a centre reservation, and he's been backing and forward for the last 10 minutes trying to get into this parking space. Which, by the way, there's no cars in front, there's no cars behind, so there's actually 3 bays. He could have got in quite easily. He's backing backwards and forwards, trying to get into this parking bay. At least 5 or 6 times he was in. I don't know why he just didn't put the handbrake on and go. Now he's just given up and gone to the middle. I'm going to let this go. We're getting up to 2 hours, and that's too long for a live stream. People won't want to watch it back. Actually, I suspect they won't anyway. Hit that thumbs up if you're in, and you haven't already, hit the thumbs up. Leave a few extra comments. Michelle and I are going to finish this last little bit of coffee that I've got here. It's getting to the bottom. And we're going to say goodbye. So love to you all. Share the love, share the video if you've got any friends that want to watch a long, drawn out live stream with me here. I'm going to get off, but have a good day, and I will get on top of doing some videos very shortly. So we're going to get some editing done and get some stuff done. So sorry I've let that slide to you all. Be good, and thank you for joining me today. Homebred.
Ask the question. What's he doing?
He's doing a live stream on YouTube, so he's talking to people all over the world on YouTube.
Really?
You can say hello.
Want to say hello? This lady's saying, what are we doing?
What are you doing out here?
What are we doing out here? So Kelly's in England.
Oh.
Jan, you in the US? Say hello. This lady's come to say hello. What's your name? Valentina. She's come to say hello.
Hello.
Just had a lovely coffee and cake, so we're just having a chat with people.
Okay. Hello, goodbye. Have a nice day. It's a beautiful day here.
Wonderful, isn't it?
Just saying what a gorgeous day, aren't we lucky? Yeah. They're all having a bit of a winter over that side of the world, so we're still rolling into the sun, into the spring.
watching you. I'm going, just a task.
Yeah, that's right. Why
There's
not?
a pie from the USA.
All right.
Have a good day.
That's the sort of thing I'd do.
Yeah.
So it's nice when someone comes over and's got the nerve to sort of say hello. You should always say hello to me if you ever see me in the street, by the way.
Oh, they're fighting over. Oh, he's got that spot. And there's another car waiting to go
have a
in.
bit of a confrontation now.
Yeah.
Maybe. Right. Valentina, thank you very much for popping over and saying hello. Thank you, Jan. Thank you to everybody.
Ian, if you're happy if you wanted to go behind it now.
I don't know how to hang up on this thing, I forget. Oh, it's the cross up in the corner. Love to you all. Take care. We'll be doing some videos. Be ready for next weekend. And I might do another live show since we've got good internet in the next day or two. Take care. See you. Peace out.